Hi, welcome to my video for parents. I really wanted to make part of this course really about the parental role with music and what we as parents can do to help our children out as they progress in their musical careers. I think it's easy to assume sometimes as parents, especially if we don't have a musical background, that there's not a lot we can offer our children at home as far as helping them with their day-to-day practicing and all the musical things that they come home with from school, whether those are pieces to work on or concepts they're trying to learn in marching band, or even just learning to concentrate and focus for a period of time. Something we all have to learn, and some of us as adults even still can struggle with too at times. So I wanted to be able to address some of those things to you all, and I hope that if you're a parent watching this video and working through this course with your child, that I give you a few things to take away. I'm a parent myself. I have two young children, 8 and 4. So, we're starting to get into this period, especially with my oldest, where we have homework to do and how I can encourage and help without turning them off from learning and discouraging them. There are so many things now vying for our children's attention. At the risk of sounding like a geezer, when I was a child, we didn't have near the distractions that we do now. We have fantastic resources now as well, so we have to kind of learn to incorporate both of those ideas into our musical lives and our practicing as musicians. I think going forward, our children are only going to use technology more and more, and I see it in music as well. Everything from people reading music and scores off of iPads, which even 3-4 years ago wasn't really a possibility. Now it's very commonplace. Home recording and the kind of things you can do at home on your own. 20 years ago were only available by going to a studio and paying a lot of money. Now you can do it very inexpensively at home. Even just using your phone. You could produce an entire album simply from an iPhone. It's quite amazing. So how do we as parents help our kids to focus in their practice sessions? That's what I really want to talk about. As I said earlier, you may not have a musical background, yet there are quite a number of things you can do to help your student at home with their practicing. Let's talk about a few of these things. The first thing you can do is I encourage you to sit down and watch this course and the videos with your child. I made them short for a reason. I wanted them to be to the point, make them something that a family or a student could sit down and watch in a short amount of time and watch multiple times as well. I think a lot of concepts, I know for me and my learning, I have to hear things multiple times to really ingrain it in my memory. So definitely watch it with them, and if you can, discuss what you saw, what you talked about. See what questions they have. If you can't answer them, I'm sure their private teacher or band director can. And if you still can't find an answer, email me and I'll answer it for you. Nuts and bolts. Get the videos downloaded. Hopefully I've made a clear enough explanation of how you can do that. I would load the videos on my phone or tablet, put them in a playlist, either through iTunes or another media player, and have that ready to go so that your student can turn it on and use it whenever they need to. Printing the warm-up booklet out, I would print multiple copies. Print a copy for home, print a copy for their school folder. Just making sure taping the pages together can help a lot as well. Supervising them getting their horn out of the case. For young players, this can be a very basic thing that most students never really learned or really grasp. They're always in a hurry at school. They're distracted by their friends and other things. So at home, help them learn to open their case slowly in a careful way, put their trombone together completely, and in a safe way for the instrument, the horn will last a lot longer. You won't have repair bills like you might otherwise. And playing with a slide on a trombone that's not dented makes a huge difference in a trombone player's development. I can't tell you how many students I've had that come in with a trombone that is barely functional because the slide is so dented or out of alignment that they can barely play. And there's almost no point in even having a lesson when their trombone is in that bad a shape. So that's a very important aspect of this. When the student practices, have the music stand set up in a place where there's space for them to play, whether it's your living room, basement, bedroom, whatever. But make sure there's space and set the stand up. And I prefer to have nothing else on the music stand. I would put whatever music they're going to practice so that it's clear as to what they're going to do during that session. It prevents distraction, prevents them from getting sidetracked with other things. Along those same lines, band folders, clean out the band folder. You know, band folders come home and they collect music all through the semester. You know, that's an awesome thing for band boosters to do if they're looking out ways to help a band director out, is to volunteer, hey, can we come in and go through all the students' folders that they keep in the band hall and clean out music you don't need and file music. Most band directors would just worship the ground you walk on if you could help them out in that way. So, but when they bring the folder home, make sure there's not extra things in it that they don't need. No phones, no screens. Boy, I know it's really tough. For me personally, as a professional musician, my number one hurdle with practicing these days is distraction from my phone. If I leave my phone on my stand or nearby, I get much less done in my practicing. It is just a given for me, personally. Very easily distracted by that. So my suggestion is to leave it in another room, leave it with parents, use the timer on the phone to set an alarm for when the practice session is done. Talking about time, I am a big fan of a thing called the Pomodoro technique. This is where we set a timer on a kitchen timer and practice until the timer goes off. The interval I like to use is 25 minutes. And that way I'm not using my phone. It's not nearby. Again, back to that distraction thing. I have the timer here. I've got mine sitting by here on my desk. Very simple digital kitchen timer. It's preset to 25 minutes. I just used that this morning when I was practicing. Very, very handy. There's no arguing about how long they've practiced, how much time is left, etc. I use this with my older son in his reading assignments from school, and he loves it because he can set it right by him. He knows how much time is left, how long he's been reading for. It's very, very helpful. One of the big things we can provide as parents is patience and encouragement for our children. That's not news to anybody. Music can be a very frustrating thing for a young player. The younger they are, as they're struggling to learn to make a good sound on the instrument, it can feel sometimes like they're never going to learn how to play anything. So, as a parent, one of the big things you can do is remind them this is a multi-year process, and that's hard for a young person to grasp that idea. You know, they're not going to learn it in a week. They're not going to learn it in one practice session. It is a series of small steps, and each of those steps is that practice session for that day. Whether it's 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, whatever it is, it all adds up over time. So as a parent, just continually encourage them, hey, you did 20 minutes today. That's awesome. That's 20 minutes closer to being able to play that solo piece for your contest in April. You know, whatever it is they're working on. Ask them to play for you at the end of their practice session. Some students don't like to do that, but some do. and they might be thrilled, especially the younger they are. They might be thrilled to play a little something for you. It doesn't have to be much. It could be two measures that they've been practicing on during that lesson time, or during that practice time rather. So I think just the fact that you're interested to hear them and you're tuned into what it is they're actually playing, a lot of them would be thrilled with that. One thing that can be a little bit of a touchy subject, a lot of times is, sometimes children, they don't want parents to help. And as they get older, it becomes even more of an issue. Even with my 8-year-old, sometimes he doesn't want me to help him or to offer him suggestions. One of my intents with this video course for my own students was that I give parents another voice to encourage their child to do their practicing in a structured and positive way, without the parent having to be the one to do that every day. It can get wearing on both the child and the parent if you're the one that's constantly, hey, have you practiced your trombone today? Did you get, that's not the way you get your horn out of the case. You need to do it this way. So you can offload that responsibility on me in the videos. You might just say, hey, if you want to watch the video on putting your horn together, I'll watch that with you, and then we can see how that compares to what you're doing. Whatever it is that you feel is effective for your child. Another really important thing is finding a time of day that works for your child to be productive and focused. I know I have personally a couple times during the day that are my most focused and my most productive, and my children are no different. My oldest definitely is a morning person. He can concentrate better before school. After school, a lot of times they're tired, they have other activities. Even if you only do 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the afternoon, if you're really looking to get the most bang for your buck out of that, doing one long session can be tiring for everybody. I'm personally much better when I practice in short sessions. That's why I do 25 minutes at a time. But you can even do shorter sessions. Do 10 minutes. Do 10 minutes before school. Eat breakfast, do a little homework or brush your teeth or whatever, then do another 5 minutes. After school, then you do 15 minutes. And before you know it, you've done a half hour, 40 minutes of practicing, which for a young player is a lot. My beginners, I'm happy if they do 10, 15 minutes to start with. I just want them to become used to the habit of getting their trombone out at home and playing. And that's really all we're trying to establish with young students. We're trying to establish that consistency and developing a nice sound on the trombone. Very simple. Use the practice log. Some kids like the practice logs, others don't, but a lot of them, it's pretty satisfying at the end of the week to be able to look back and see the daily minutes they practiced. If it's 10 minutes a day, you'd be like, and make a big deal out of it, give them a reward, whether it's M&Ms, or that's a strong motivator in my house, M&Ms. Screen time is a big motivator too for my children. But something to let them know that, hey, that's really awesome that you did this work throughout the week. Great job. If you find that they're really into that and they want a notebook, you can buy them a spiral notebook or something of that order to make as their practice log. And they can not just write the time, they can write what they practiced and maybe tempos, like I practiced my F major scale and I'm now at quarter note equals 96. Wow, last week I was at quarter equals 84. Hey, that's great. You're really able to play it faster. Very, very well done. So that can be another strong motivator. One final thing that I think is really great for parents to do with their children, families to do together. It's something that I used to do with my parents. I was kind of probably a strange kid, but in high school, my dad would put on LPs. Remember those? We'd listen to classical music, orchestral music, band music, or jazz. And just we'd listen. You know, we might lay down on the floor in our living room at night for an hour and listen to some recordings. I don't have to tell you all how available music is now to our children. You can go on YouTube and find anything in the world that you want to listen to. It's easy to get distracted on that because you can branch off and go in all kinds of different directions. So one suggestion is to make a playlist for your children. You know, say, hey, this week we're going to listen to some new brass music, some new band music, and I've already got the playlist made, and here it is. You pull it up, and it's ready to go. There's no distraction with seeing other suggested videos or things that they may rather watch. And you can do that together, you know, and start with it, make it short. You can, it doesn't have to be sitting down and watching an hour-long symphony. Just do short things. Talk to your band director, your private teacher too. That's another great resource for those things. If they're playing pieces in band, you can almost guarantee you can find a recording of them on YouTube. Same with solo pieces. So I highly suggest you give that a try. Okay, finally, parents, there are a few of the videos that probably apply to you all as much as they do to the student. And these are things that you can really help them out with. The posture video, that's something you can visually see. Every day you walk in their practice room at home and you can see how they're doing it. We already talked about putting the trombone together, assembly, keeping the slide lubricated. There's an infographic in the bonus materials that very basic, but it shows you how to do that. The breathing concepts are somewhat visual, so when we talk about breathing, we can see a lot of times if people are doing that, and on the breathing video, I think I give a pretty good demonstration of what that looks like. Finally, holding the horn correctly, you know, the grip on the horn, grip of the slide, those are things that you can visually check out every day with your student. Thank you, parents. Good luck with encouraging your child in music. It can be a frustrating road, but it can also be a very rewarding road. I encourage you to watch the rest of the videos with them. The how to practice video is another one that may be very helpful for you all as you're sitting in the kitchen listening to them plugging away in their room on whatever it is they're practicing. I may give you some insight into how they're doing it and maybe ways to help them and remind them how to practice effectively. Thanks so much. You can find me on my website. Chris@virtualtrombonist.com is the email. Facebook is just Virtual Trombonist. Don't hesitate to get in touch with me if you have any questions. Good luck and have fun.